presentation today is Non-Traditional Education to Advance Women in the Competing Careers in the St. Louis Metropolitan Region. The St. Louis Metropolitan Area is one of the top American cities for tech startups with a substantial number of Fortune 500 companies. So generally what this means is this number of companies translates into job opportunities for those living in the area. The issue is that there is a lack of women within the workforce that is currently there. So when you think about the sheer sizes of the metropolitan area, roughly 3.2 million, a number of these jobs are done by men, and there is an opportunity for women to be in these particular jobs, working and stuff like that, which increases and increases the output of the city in terms of financial income and stuff like that, and does a number of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to review the current initiatives and then provide recommendations to enhance those that are currently present. Now, understanding the supply and demand, we're actually going to turn to a website. It's called CyberSeek. And so what they do is they look at all the jobs open for cybersecurity in the country. And then what they do is they look in metropolitan regions to include states and then other smaller cities within a state. So if you look at the St. Louis Metropolitan Region, you'll see right now there is currently 6,719 jobs. Now, these jobs change from time to time, the types of jobs that are within cybersecurity based upon the National Initiative on Cybersecurity Education, and then they also, they can go up or go down. But overall, as a country, the cybersecurity jobs went from 300,000 to over 500,000 in approximately 2 years. So you look at the current job titles that are in demand: cybersecurity engineer, analyst, network engineer, software development, cybersecurity manager, IT auditor, and you can see that the geographic concentration of jobs is very high. And then the actual supply of workers is very low. So what this tells me is that there are a lot of jobs out there and there's not enough workers to fill those jobs. So when we think about ways to improve and enhance the situation for women in STEM, specifically cybersecurity, training women in cybersecurity is yet a way to do that. When we look further into the region, this particular chart, like I said, is based off the NICE framework. So a National Initiative on Cybersecurity Education. And what it does is it shows us the jobs within the category. Now, a number of jobs may fulfill one or two areas in the category, and we'll talk about that. But you can see there: securely provision, operate and maintain, oversee and govern, protect and defend, analyze, collect and operate. And so these are just, the majority of those areas within the NICE framework. And more importantly, when we look at the actual certification required, you can see the certification that has been attached to the various job requisition that's posted out there. So you can see that the Certified Information Security Professional, it's the highest. And you can see the lowest is the Certified Information Privacy Professional. Now, I do have to caveat that a number of organizations will just ask for the CISP certification. Now, this is kind of the gold standard of cybersecurity. So lots of organizations say, hey, we want to do cybersecurity. We need the CISP credential. Now, the issue with that is that this certification requires a substantial amount of years to take the exam and to be fully certified. However, you can take the exam, pass it, become an associate, but that is very rare. There's not many cases where individuals are studying on their own, going to take the exam and achieving certification. It is a 6-hour exam, multiple choice. There is no wrong answer, is the more right answer. So when you look at these items, the one that really is likely for individuals to achieve is the CompTIA Security Plus. Now, when we look at the NICE framework, there were the majority of the jobs were in these sections, right? So we're looking at securely provision and operate and maintain. So when we look at securely provision, we actually select this particular part of the framework. A number of subcategories come up, right? It populates. So now we have software developer, we have security architect, we have secure software assessor, system developer, and security control assessor, all within the security provision side. And then we look at operate and maintain, we see system security analyst, system administrator, tech support, data analyst, knowledge manager, network operations specialist, and database administrator. So this gives us more insight into the types of jobs that are in the St. Louis Metropolitan region. And what's interesting about this, knowing this information, we now know what types of jobs that we're training individuals for. Because before we saw at a high level, there's over 6,000 jobs, but at a high level, we don't really know what to develop in terms of career sustaining training and stuff like that. Right now, we know the type of skills that need to be developed for individuals to be placed in particular jobs within this region. Now, when you look at jobs within this region, there are a number of organizations that are out there, right? So what we did is we went to a number of job websites such as Dice and Monster, and we used various keywords to see, how many jobs come up, right? So when we looked at Dice jobs and we searched using various tech-related words, 196 jobs were posted in 30 days. And then a Monster search of the keyword computer displayed 4,120 jobs. And then when we changed the keyword to software engineer, 2,038 jobs came up, right? So a number of jobs came up. So when you just do cybersecurity, you get a number of jobs, but when you change the keywords a bit, even more jobs may come up that may be attached to those keywords, because they may not necessarily be cyber, but they may be software development and have some type of cyber component in it. Now, one of the things, it's evident that there needs to be tech talent in the St. Louis region. However, women are less likely than men to apply for these positions. Women tend to meet more requirements and are better qualified for jobs. However, when compared to men, they're not as likely to graduate from traditional computing programs, right? So when you look at computing programs and the demographics of those in it, women are, they're not as high. And we'll talk about those numbers later. So researchers observed on a national level within 2015 and 2016 timeframe, among all undergraduate degree-seeking students, which includes certificate, associate degree, and bachelor degree candidates, the percentage of female students was more prominent as represented in this figure that you see. However, you have to look at the actual field, right? So the field is important, and then where these individuals end up. So when we look here, it shows that 2% of all graduates received a computing degree. This is of all graduates received a computing degree. And this is what we did is we looked at St. Louis University, right? So you looked at St. Louis University for the 2018-2019 school year, there were 1,684 bachelor degree graduates. And of them, 60% of the bachelor degree graduates were women. However, only 2% of the graduates received a computing degree. Next, the large university in St. Louis, University of Missouri St. Louis, the total number of graduates in the same school year was 1,921. 57% of them were women, and 3% of the graduates received a computing degree. Right? So these are large numbers. It's not like women aren't getting degrees. They are, but they're just not in computing. And that creates a clear problem, right? It's in other fields aside computing. And so when you see here, the number of computing graduates is negatively associated with the number of women graduates in the St. Louis metropolitan region. And so what we sort of figured out is that there are barriers that are there for women starting early in education that affects them throughout their careers. So the great thing is there's lots of non-traditional computing education. So a lot of individuals have seen boot camps where individuals that may have degrees in economics or finance want to go get retooled or retrained to do something in computing. And right now, a lot of it's coding. So what's interesting, there is a number of organizations in the St. Louis metropolitan region that's doing just that. One item is Launch Code. They're a nonprofit organization based in the region that focuses on bringing technology education to individuals who otherwise wouldn't have access to STEM education. Now, there's other websites and other tools. So you have MOOCs, you have massive online courses from Coursera. There's universities offering MOOCs as well, Google, University of Illinois. But online education isn't the only way to acquire this particular knowledge. The other thing is, when you're looking at these programming boot camps, a lot of it's language specific, which is good for cyber because Python is fairly high in cyber as well. Now, CyberUp is another organization. And when we talked about barriers early on for women, CyberUp actually works with younger women in secondary school or a high school to get them involved and active in cybersecurity, and have young women consider careers in cybersecurity that may not have considered it before. So CyberUp, they do a lot of stuff with Scott Air Force Base. They really focus on how to get people of color, women, and veterans, all these groups in cybersecurity. So they offer apprenticeships and things of that nature to further bring this particular demographic along. So some of the recommendations is to improve computing education for women. Changes need to be injected early into the education system, right? It needs to occur early in the education system. Also, when you look at lower socioeconomic areas such as East St. Louis, North County, and poverty-struck areas in the St. Louis city areas, there needs to be an injection of STEM and cybersecurity education in these areas. And then when you look at rural areas outside the city, such as Washington County, Lincoln County, and Jefferson County, the same needs to be done. So poverty-stricken areas and rural areas where perhaps agriculture is no longer as big, or manufacturing is no longer present, these areas are perfect areas for injecting this particular type of technological learning. And so this is the thing that needs to occur. Now, the other focus needs to be on single parent households that may not have the means to pursue these opportunities outside their primary income. So a way of supplementing what they're doing and having them be able to get trained and retooled in cybersecurity through another means, maybe some type of nationalized training program or something like that. So in conclusion, when you have with women such as Grace Hopper that have played an important role in technology from the birth of the computer, it's important to think about this, because women have been at a disadvantage when it comes to technology careers and opportunities. So our paper examines the current state of affairs in computer science and computer education, and it provides a brief description of how women face different circumstances than men when it comes to traditional computing education, and things that we can do as a collective to make that change. And so the skill gap in the United States is a problem, and it needs to be addressed and lessened. And we could do that by having more women enter the job market in cybersecurity. So thank you for listening to our presentation. And if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us or ask.